This is a Craftsman 19-inch 25cc Bushwacker Hedge Trimmer, the 19-inch version of this. I've worked on a few of these in the past, actually more than a few. But this one here has some problems of its own. It is missing the fuel lines for one thing. And I've inspected the gas tank. I actually have the cap for the tank, but yeah, it's missing the fuel lines, also missing the air cleaner element that goes in there. We're missing that. This carburetor is plugged up. There's no flow going through it, so that would have to be rebuilt. Also in the tank here, we had no pickup, so we would have to have one of those too. So I thought, well, I wonder if one of those like 14 or 15 buck kits where you get everything would fix this up. So I looked on eBay, and I'm going to order this kit right here, and we're going to try that and see if that fixes up this Craftsman. That comes with fuel lines, a new spark plug, a new carburetor, and a new air filter, and the fuel lines, everything, the pickup, the filter. So we'll see if that works to get this thing running. When that comes in, we'll do a video on putting all that stuff on there. Okay, we're back looking at the Craftsman 19-inch 25cc Bushwacker Hedge Trimmer. And I have ordered one of these kits where you get everything. And a person from eBay actually responded to me and wanted to know how I like this. So we're going to put it on there, see if it cranks the unit. And I'll tell them it at least done that. I'd like to kind of know how it would do over the long term. I don't know how much the guy that owns this intends to use it though. But we'll see if putting this whole kit on starts this thing and makes it run. Okay, let's take a look at what and all comes with this. Some bubble wrap. Okay, we have the carburetor. Looks like the same one on our unit. They have given us a new spark plug. Oh, we have a new air filter element. We have both the fuel lines that are supposed to be the original size for this. Feel like they're pretty good quality. And we have our fuel pickup and filter, brand new. They have also given us our carburetor gaskets. And a spare primer bulb if we need it in the future. Okay, I'm going to get that carburetor off of there. Going to be using a T25 bit. There's two screws that hold this on. And that's our stopped up carburetor. Compare it to the new one here. They look fairly identical. I mean, you can't much tell the difference. Even this Zama carburetor is made in China. So, I mean, really, is there a lot of difference? I've actually put these knockoff carburetors on former steel weed eaters I've had, and they didn't go bad on me. Something else happened to them before the carburetor went bad on them again. So we'll try this one, we'll install it. We'll get our fuel lines installed in that gas tank. I'm going to remove this old gasket. I like to take my finger and put on a little bit of grease and wipe down your gaskets. They'll last a lot longer. Okay, I like to go ahead and stick my bolts through this and get this first gasket on here. Then I got my last gasket here, which you see that little hole there. This gasket's going to line up with that. I'm also going to reconnect my throttle here. You don't want to over tighten that, because that's a plastic mount back there. I just like to get it nice and snug. And that's our carburetor installed. We will no doubt have to adjust this when we're done. These carburetors have special tools you have to adjust them with. The fuel lines for this unit run into this tank through this handle right here. Fortunately, the person was kind enough to leave us with all the hardware, but all of it's fairly loose. I might be able to get some of it out without even using my drill here. These are also T25. That's a little tight. Once you have those out, you can just pull this handle back. This throttle removes right here. Just pull it out. This is where your fuel lines are going to run. You'll be able to tell there's a small hole and a bigger hole. And they run through this handle right here. I'm going to cut these fuel lines at an angle to make them easier to get through those holes, like that. Maybe a little more. Yeah, there we go, like that. Then I'm going to feed this line down into this small hole. Grab that hose and pull it out, just like that. That's your pickup hose. So we're going to clean that cut up. And I'm going to install my fuel pickup. Okay, make sure you get that on there good, because that's going to be flopping around in the tank. Okay, I think I got a pretty secure connection there. I'm going to pull enough, just enough of this back where that can freely roam in that gas tank. I think we're good right there. And that is going to be the first fuel line. Okay, let's get our purge line hooked up or installed in the tank. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to cut a really long angle on this. Like that right there. Once we stick that through the hole, we can grab it with our needle nose pliers. Okay, you can see my fuel line coming through right there. I'm going to reach in there and grab it and pull it through. Okay. Okay, I've got my purge line pulled out. I'm going to cut that even. You just want to cut that off like right where I am and leave a little piece coming through the fuel tank. So I'm going to pull that back up just a little bit there, and that should be good for my purge line. So you see I got my pickup down in there, and I've got my purge line run. Okay, I got my fuel lines back in the gas tank there. I think I'm going to try to put my line for my kill switch in first. In that slot right there that holds everything. Just like that right there. Then I'm going to run my small fuel line there and my big fuel line there. and put my handle back on. If your handle falls apart on you, this is what it looks like. See that spring run straight across there. Alright. Make sure you got this plastic piece right here up under this assembly too. Right back together just like that. See, I run that kill switch first, then my small fuel line, then my larger fuel line. Then I can easily route that just like that up to my carburetor. We have a small hex nut here that goes on the back. Our larger one here goes through the handle. This is our throttle assembly. If you look on the back, there's a slot right there. That's going to go against this slot right here. We'll install our little ball back in there, just like that. And we'll get that back on there. A little stubborn there, but it went. You'll see how this sits in that slot right there, and then your last mounting screw is going to help kind of hold that assembly in right there. Okay, well, let's get all this tightened down. You don't want to over tighten any of this stuff. Especially the older this gets. This is like from early to mid 2000s. Plastic starts to degrade somewhat on some of this stuff. Okay, I got my handle put back together. Spring feels good. Can lock my throttle, so I'm all good with that. We have our fuel lines installed. I think I have enough roaming room for the pickup there. Our tank looks pretty clean. I'm not going to mess with that. The next thing we're going to do is cut our fuel lines to length and hook them up to our carburetor. Okay, this is our fuel pickup line, the small line that's going to pull the fuel out of the carburetor. That's going to connect to this bottom stem here on the carburetor. Just want to make sure you cut yourself enough. Don't worry about cutting too much, because you can cut off a little more but not make it longer. You want to make sure you get that slid down on there where it's making really good contact, where it's not going to slide off, where you can kind of pull on it. Sometimes I like to put a little oil on those and make it slide a little easier. That seems to have went on pretty good. Now we'll cut our large fuel line to the length here. That one was a lot easier to get on. Okay, I got good connections there. I'm running down into my handle there. Looking good. I don't see anything being mashed or crimped. So the next thing we address is this spark plug. This is a 3/4. Well, it's already loose. Like I say, somebody has worked on this thing before. A little carboned up there. We're going to stick a brand new one in it. I already know this unit has spark. And compression. Okay, and that's our spark plug included with our kit. This kit also comes with a brand new air filter, which is a round element that goes right there in the center where this holder is, as you can see, right there. This cover reinstalls on here with a Phillips head screw. Just like that. You don't want to over tighten that. Just get it to where it's not going to be going around in circles with you. It'll tighten itself up actually, and then that'll leave a gap around that takes in air. Okay, I'm going to reinstall my gas lid holder here and my gas lid. I have very little 40-to-1 fuel. I hope I have enough to see if this will work. On this top too, we'll have a idle adjustment right there, so that's going to be probably off. Our other adjustments for this carburetor are going to be right here, and you have to have a special tool for that. Okay, well, we have our 1425 tune-up in place, and new carburetor, fuel lines, air filter, and spark plug installed. New gaskets on the carburetor. Plus I have taken the top off of this thing and cleaned the muffler and spark arrestor. And I also had to replace a heat shield in there. I had to cut out like a small piece of metal and refabricate that there. And if you want to see that, I made a separate video about that. Okay, I have my adjustment tool. I've got the jets turned out 1 1/4 turns on each one, and I've got the throttle kind of set low, and we'll see where we're at. We'll give that 6 pumps. And we got our choke on full. Turn our switch to on. That seems to be running just fine with very little adjustment actually. My idle's about right, and the jet screws for the high and low seem to be pretty close there. Okay, that's a repair of a Craftsman 19-inch 25cc Bushwacker hedge trimmer. Thanks for joining me.